few people notice, most of us treat it like a boring prelude, like a band playing before the real concert. We tend to think of small talk as something we have to get through to get to the deeper parts, where the inspiring conversations and real connections happen. But if you put your phone down for 2 minutes and really look around, you'll notice something simple that many people overlook: every connection, no matter how deep, starts with some awkward small talk. Even your closest friend has opened with a silly question like, "What class are you in?" or something like that. The thing is, small talk isn't just about words. It's a way to make the other person feel like a real person, not a character in a Sims game, waiting for your input to act. And to do that, you don't need any special skills. No cheat codes, no flashy looks, no natural gift for words. You just need to learn one thing: active observation. This may sound like something a nerd would say, but let's not be too quick to judge. Active observation is the art of paying attention to the other person as if they were the only thing that existed in that moment. Not their vibe, not their aura, not some abstract energy, but the tangible details: the shirt they're wearing, the drink they're holding, the way they keep glancing at their watch as if they were somewhere else. You notice those details and then comment on them, not in a forced way, but gently, invitingly. In fact, I could end this post and you would still get the gist of it. But if you take a little more time, I promise it will be worth it. Let me explain why this method is so effective. First, people, no matter how different they are, have a common desire to be seen. Not in a, "oh, you're so deep and mysterious" way, but simply in a, "hey, I see you exist" way. It's a basic need that's hardwired into our brains. Second, active observation helps remove defenses. You don't demand answers. You don't ask, "What do you do?" or "What do you think?" about the future questions that feel like pressure and scrutiny. You just gently throw a softball their way and wait to see if they want to catch it. To illustrate, let's say you're in a coffee shop. The person sitting next to you is holding a book. The natural response for most people is to ask them, "What are you reading?" It sounds polite, but it's actually a form of pressure. You're asking them to explain, justify, or summarize, and no one really wants to do that on a lazy afternoon. Instead, you could point to the book and say, "This one looks like it's been through a lot." It's a simple, non-judgmental comment that doesn't require a response, but it opens a door. They might smile and say, "This is the third time I've read it," or "I hate it, but I'm trying to finish it." Either way, you've started a conversation without making them feel like they're being interviewed. Now imagine you're at a party, which for many introverts is a nightmare. Someone walks past you holding a suspicious-looking plate of food. Instead of ducking your head and running away, you might say, "That chicken looks like it's trying to fight back." No questions asked, just a humorous observation. They may laugh or defend the chicken with passion. But either way, you've opened the conversation in a light, unforced way, and the beauty of active observation. It works in any setting: business meetings, first dates, family gatherings, grocery shopping. It's versatile, simple, and effective. Most importantly, it takes the attention away from you. You no longer have to try to be charming, funny, or interesting. You just notice and point out what you see. It's that simple. So, how do you start practicing active observation if you're new to it? The answer lies in what you might think is the simplest thing of all. Look more closely. From now on, wherever you go, the coffee shop, the library, the grocery store, the park, pay attention as if you were a detective. No notes, no mind maps. Just observe like a curious but kind person. For example, you see someone shaking their coffee cup without drinking it, or checking their phone repeatedly even though there are no notifications. These little things most people ignore are windows into someone's mind. And if you're observant, you can turn them into charming opening lines. Imagine you're standing in line, and the person in front of you is wearing a bright yellow jacket on a cloudy day. What's your reaction? Most people will glance at it and forget about it. But you, if you're practicing active observation, might say, "That jacket definitely won't let anyone lose you in the crowd." A light, half-joking remark that doesn't bother anyone. But it shows that you're looking, really looking, rather than just seeing. And that distinction is the basis for starting any honest conversation. Now you might ask, but what if the other person doesn't respond? Which leads to the next lesson. Be comfortable with silence. Not every observation has to be the beginning of a long conversation. Sometimes you just plant a seed, a comment, a smile. a nod, and leave it there. If the other person wants it, they'll water it. If not, that's okay. You're not a loser. You're not embarrassed, and you're certainly not weird. You're just learning to connect with the world in a natural, subtle way. Active observation is not a trick to being liked. It's a conscious way of living, a communication skill based on respect and genuine attention. It helps you move from thinking, what should I say next, to listening and responding in context. And that's the foundation of all good relationships. A little secret, you don't have to be smart. Let's face it, many people shy away from small talk because they think they're not smart enough, not funny enough, not engaging enough. But active observation, thankfully, doesn't require you to be a comedian or an orator. You don't need a big vocabulary. You don't need to be a compelling storyteller. And you certainly don't need to be cinematic. You just need to be present, that's all. A light, half-joking remark that doesn't bother anyone. But it shows that you're looking, really looking, rather than just seeing. And that distinction is the basis for starting any honest conversation. One of the sweetest and most effective things I've ever heard came from a middle-aged man in a supermarket who saw me undecided between two types of instant noodles. "Go for the left one," he said. "It hasn't made me regret it. At least not in the last month." I laughed. We chatted a bit about our late-night eating habits, then went our separate ways. No need to make friends. No need to have a long-term connection. Just a human moment. That moment is enough to make a day warmer. Once you understand the power of active observation, the next step is to translate that observation into action, namely a word, expression, or small gesture that invites. The great thing is that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment, or wait for everything to be perfect, or worry about the right fit. You just need a moment that's real enough, a moment where you're truly present and paying attention. On a first date, for example, instead of asking the standard question, "What do you do in your spare time?" you can pay attention to the little things. What did they order? Is their hand fiddling with a drink? Are they wearing a vintage watch instead of a smartwatch? These details are natural prompts. You can smile and say, "I guess you picked this not because it tastes the best, but because it's safe, right? Or your watch looks like it has a story." Such a subtle remark can be enough to break the ice because it shows that you're looking not to judge but to understand. In another setting, like a company meeting, where tension often fills the air, a small detail like a folder with a cat sticker on it can be the key to opening the conversation. Simply tilt your head, smile, and say, "Your report is definitely the most accessible report at this meeting." It's not a particularly funny or insightful comment, but it's enough to connect. Because in a world where everyone is rushing around with tasks and KPIs, a little word can soften a heart. Even in families where we seem to know each other so well, observation still holds true. Often it's the people closest to us that we stop paying attention to. But if you notice your dad playing an old song from his youth, or your mom pouring tea from a worn-out cup instead of a new set, you can gently ask, "Why did you choose this one today?" or "What's so special about that cup?" Mom. These questions aren't meant to elicit information. They're simply meant to bring us closer. Small talk, when viewed properly, is no longer an awkward prelude to a conversation. It's just conversation, casual, natural, and powerful in changing the way we connect. You don't need a gift for words, or a fancy joke, or a great introduction. All you need is presence and a little bit of good-natured curiosity. When you really look at someone, not to analyze, not to judge, but just to see them as a real person, you give them a simple gift that few people have the patience to give: the feeling of being seen. And sometimes that feeling is the beginning of a deeper connection than you ever expected.